everyone, it's Keely here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for another behind the scenes look as we create the embeds for the next soap. Now, have you ever wanted to create a cookie but you don't have a mold, or you don't have the sort of mold making materials to make a mold from off a real cookie? Well, today I'm going to show you how you can quickly, simply and easily create a very basic chocolate chip cookie to go on your next soap. Let's go. So for my cookies, I do want them to be just one colour, and I want them to have that golden sort of beigey look. To try and achieve that, I have a tiny bit of latte mica in here. So I'm going to add that in. We'll mix it up, and then if needs be, I'll lighten it up with just a little bit of titanium dioxide. So I'm going to do this as I do with all of my soaps. I'm going to pour my lye water solution into my oils here. Then we're going to mix it up with the stick blender. Okay, so I have mixed that one up. It is come to a very thick trace there. I'm going to leave this one sit here just for a little bit longer until it really thickens up, and then we'll put it into the piping bag and we will pipe some cookies. So we have got our soap into our piping bag and all ready to go. Today I am using one of the couplers on here because I've got two ideas for this cookie. I'm hoping that this one first idea is going to work, but if it doesn't, I've got another tip I can change out to. This time around I'm going to be using just an open round tip, and I'm going to grab my tray here, which I've got some parchment paper on, and I'm going to start by just making a round sort of circle. Might mount it up just a little bit, and then the idea will be, I'll do a whole heap of them, but like you would when you were cooking, I'm just going to give that a knock down to flatten my biscuits out, and I think they are going to work. My other idea, if this didn't work, I was going to put a closed star tip on it, a 2D tip I think it is, and I was going to do sort of those more buttermilk sort of style of swirly cookies, but this one is going to work well. So again, I'm just making a round circle. Doesn't matter if it does come up a little bit. Might actually work from the outside and come in, and sorry, I've only set up the one camera today, so I can't get you in for a better angle, but they are very, very simple, just round little dollops that we're doing. So start another row down here and keep going. Now, someone did ask me on one of the videos, how do you stop your soap from setting up so you can pipe? It's one of those questions that I can't give you a straightforward answer. It really depends upon your actual piping recipe. So with this one, once I get it to this sort of stage, it does stay nice and soft for long enough to be able to pipe with. If you've got a recipe that accelerates really quickly, you're going to find it very hard to do your piping work. You want a recipe that it doesn't move too slowly, but it doesn't you want that sort of nice working time that you can get with some of the recipes out there. So I wouldn't have one that's got too many soft oils, and I wouldn't have a recipe that is too high in hard oils either. You want something that is about a 50-50 balance of the two types of oils. So we've got 12 so far. Then make sure I get my 17 out of here. And you do start to learn what sort of consistency you need to start piping at, and depending what you're piping, as you do with cakes and things, you need different consistencies to do different projects. So if I was doing flowers, I'd probably want this a little bit more set up than what I've got it now, so that the petals all hold their shapes. But because with this one I actually want to knock this down once we've finished piping these, I wanted the mixture just a little bit softer so that it will actually flatten itself out there. So it is really, really hard to actually say how do you stop it from setting up, because you really can't stop that soap from setting up. It does as it pleases, and you just have to work with what you've got. But make sure you just get one of those recipes that is about 50-50 of hard oils and soft oils, and you'll be able to make sure you've got enough piping time. I'm going to do myself an extra little cookie here just in case. In fact, may have enough in there. Let's make some of these just that little bit bigger. They are looking good. So I'm going to give this tray another bit of a knockdown to flatten these cookies out. Alright, so I'm happy with that so far. This is going to be a really quick behind the scenes video as we make these ones. What I have in this little container are just lots of little droplets of melt and pour. I do have a little mould to put my melt and pour in to make these little droplets. But if you don't have one, all you need to do is wait until your melt and pour is starting to set up, and then you can just get a little pipette and drop little bits of melt and pour onto a tray so that you get these little balls of melt and pour. If you don't want to do that, you can always use some soap dough and make some little chocolate chip pieces. But all I'm going to do is pop my little bits of melt and pour in here to make them look like little chocolate chip cookies. Oh, that piece is going to go right there. I've had to take my glove off because they just get in the way with such tiny little embeds here. But I'm being very careful not to actually let that soap touch me. So while I'm sticking my little chocolate bits into my cookies here, let me know, what are your favourite biscuits to eat? I did my little donut video the other week, and quite often when I'm, just talking away, there's certain things which I try to say which aren't too Australian, so that everyone can actually understand what it is that I'm trying to say. But occasionally little things come out which are very typically Australian. And in that donut video I mentioned about these donuts that get made at one of my local markets, and I mentioned a biscuit in them called Tim Tams. And I got the question of, what is a Tim Tam? Well, if you're in the UK, the easiest way to explain what a Tim Tam is to you guys is that it is like a penguin, but sorry, it's actually nicer than a penguin. And otherwise, if you don't know what a penguin is, it's basically two biscuits. They're usually a chocolate-based biscuit. They're a little rectangular shape, both of them are. And then they sandwich these two little rectangular biscuits together, and they sandwich them together with some sort of cream-based filling. So it could be, traditionally, it was like a vanilla or a chocolate cream filling in the middle of them. And nowadays they do things like caramel, they've done chili chocolate, they do mint fillings, they do, if you can think it, Tim Tam have basically brought out a flavour in their range. And once they've got that sort of flavour in the middle and sandwich those two biscuits together, they then dip the biscuit into chocolate. So you end up with this rectangular shaped awesome chocolate biscuit. I will pop a picture up on the screen so you can see what they actually look like. Now here's something really funny about the Tim Tams, and I tried explaining this in the comment that I got asked, is that Australians like to eat their Tim Tams in something called the Tim Tam Slam, and it became so popular that Tim Tam, the actual company or the actual brand of biscuit, created a whole range of Tim Tams specifically for doing the Tim Tam Slam with. So what is a Tim Tam Slam, you ask? Well, it's the way in which we Australians like to eat these biscuits. And basically what you do is you get one of these biscuits and you bite. I was always taught you bite the top corner off and then you bite the opposite bottom corner off. But these days they just tell people to bite a bit off the top and a bit off the bottom. And then you have a warm drink. You can have milk, you can have hot chocolate, you can have coffee. Doesn't do so well with tea because chocolate and tea They just don't quite mix very well. So usually coffee, chocolate or milk. And what you do is you stick your biscuit into the hot drink, and then you suck that drink through the biscuit. And then you use it like a straw. But the trick with it is you have to get that biscuit back into your mouth as soon as you possibly can, because that chocolate that's in the middle and the biscuits and all that chocolate on the outside just begin to melt down. So you got to get that biscuit into your mouth as soon as you possibly can. But it is just the absolute best thing you can do. If you're in the UK, you can actually buy Tim Tams in the UK. Well, when I was there, you could buy them in Tesco's. They do not work with penguins. Whatever the biscuits are made of in the penguins, they just do not do the Tim Tam Slam at all. You really do need these Tim Tams. If you want to see how it's done, if you can't quite picture how it's done from how I've explained that, Google Tim Tam Slam or look for it on YouTube, and you will find lots of videos of people trying to do this really strange Australian way of eating our Tim Tam biscuits. I am almost done with putting our little chocolate chips into these cookies. I'll just get these last few in here. So there are our little chocolate chip cookies ready to go onto the next soap, which you will see on the weekend. I hope you have enjoyed watching how I have made these, and it's given you an idea of how you can actually make some cookies without using any of those really expensive molds. If you did enjoy watching, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And until the weekend's video, I hope you have a great one, and I will see you then. Bye.